the people that are in Pinnacle, they're going to identify one person that they think would be an amazing fit. I mean, amazing fit. They would like to hang out with them. They would vibe well with the group, and they're going to get an invite to Pinnacle because, again, it is very difficult to sort of process when we just talk about it. But when you get there and feel it and do the thing, everyone, I mean, there hasn't been anyone that's just not absolutely blown away by the info and the practical steps that they get. And then everyone's moving their gym forward.
You're an inspiration to our entire organization.
Welcome to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast. We're going to be talking the done-for-you marketing and sales strategies proven to work with boutique fitness gyms to increase quality lead flow and grow your revenue. Don't try to be a professional marketer and waste tons of money. Let the experts at LASSO do it for you. And now, here are your hosts, Blake Ruff and Sherman Merritt.
All right, guys, here we go. Another episode of Gym Marketing Made Simple. Of course, here with Sherman. And today I have my guy, Joshua Martin, on here with me. LASSO's sort of toolkit guy. He does everything and anything that we need him to do. Does it 10 times better than any of us can do. So it works out. Josh, thanks for hanging out with me, buddy.
It's always a pleasure, man. And, I realized you're one of the few people in my life who call me Joshua.
Yeah, I know.
I like that. So I don't need anybody else to start doing that. There's only a few, and you're one of them. So that spot's taken.
It's so funny. Like, we're getting off track already, but I have a friend, and I've always called her. So her name is Melissa. I've always called her Mel. I've known her for 20 years. Always called her Mel. Probably a year ago, I said something, and she was like, "Oh, I knew it was you." She was like, "No one else in the world calls me Mel except you." I was like, "Look at that!
There you go.
Look at that! Look at that!" All right, man. So let's sort of jump right into it. Let's talk about something that we just did, had a blast with, our big LASSO meetup. We met as a team, and then on the back end, we brought some of our Pinnacle members in. And if you guys don't know what Pinnacle is, it's our mastermind for gym owners looking to grow their gym business that are doing $30,000 per month or more, right? So there's sort of a little gate that everyone just can't get in. It takes time. But we just met in Tampa. That's Josh's home base. The weather was great. The company was better, and we learned and had a great time. So let's sort of just jump into it. Josh, I mean, you're fairly new to the team when it comes to the meetups.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
When we said, "Hey, Josh, we want you to come to the meetup for the team," what expectations did you have, and what does that feel like coming from another company? I don't know if you guys did team meetings and all that stuff, but what were you expecting?
I'm old enough, as my kids like to remind me, but I like to think I'm wise enough now to kind of have no expectations. I mean, you guys and Brian, who's like our, business coach, kind of laid out a little bit. We're going to get together. We're going to talk big picture. We're going to solve some problems, set out a plan. So that was really the only expectation that I had from what to take away from the meetup. I love being in person with everybody. I mean, I shared this in one of the days. Like, we were all going around just talking about strengths and weaknesses. And somebody said, being around people can just be socially draining after a while. And that's something I could do all day, every day. Like, I absolutely love getting together. So yeah, man, I had very little expectations, and I was honestly blown away by how much we could get done as a team together, blocking out all the distractions. You don't got just the normal things of daily life kind of interrupting you, whether it's messages or emails or phone calls or, people walking into your office, just there with the team, being able to focus on these are the big picture things, walking away with a plan, putting it into action. It was just, it was something I had never experienced before, ever.
Yeah. Good. No, that's one of the things, as as one of the founders of the company, we've always talked about I we, Blake and I, but me specifically, I definitely didn't want to have a company where I was sort of seen as this untouchable guy. I hide in my ivory tower and everyone does the thing. And then I'll peek my head out every now and then so you can know I'm here, but then I retract back into my hole. So again, you and I, we're wired the same, where hanging out with the people energizes me. There's no draining going on. Like, hanging out with the people energizes me. So obviously when we get together, it's always a blast for me. I'm always fired up when we leave. I'm not, I don't need 2 days off to recover. So yeah, it was a great time. And, the reason that we do that is because I believe that with more perspectives, again, we believe we hire the right people. So more perspectives, more of the right people in the room, it just helps us move this thing faster, right? Like, everyone says that, oh, if you want to do something, bring some people on board with you and you can go much faster. So for us, we're just getting to that stage now where we have some very, very smart, driven, high quality people. So we're like, well, we obviously have to start bringing them in the room. And the thing that I love is, I'm crystal clear about, I don't want everyone to agree with everything that I say, we may say. Like, I just don't love it, because that's not how we get better.
That was one of the stark differences between like places I've been versus here, where I think everybody on our team is obviously, we're very driven, type A, entrepreneurial, business owners. We've all got a way of doing things. But one of the things that can happen, that I've seen happen, is like, you've got the guy or the couple of people at the top. It could be like Blake and you that are just saying, this is what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. And then you guys are going to go out and execute it. And I knew from day one when I joined the team that that's not how you operated. But it's another thing to see it in practice, not just with like our weekly calls. And I talk to you guys almost every single day during the week, whether it's catching up on email, text, phone calls, Zoom. And so I'm used to that. But it's another thing to see it in person, where like, I'll probably butcher this and Brian will come after me for explaining it wrong. But like, one of the first things that we did when we got together was this exercise called 5 Brutal Facts, where each person is tasked with writing down what they think. And you can correct me if I'm wrong here, man, but like, basically what you think is like, this is something that's an issue. We need to get it fixed. If not, we don't move forward as a company the right way. And so we all did that as like our leadership team. And then the rest of the team came and did that. And it's really a way to break the ice and open the floor of like, oh man, like, this is how we're all seeing the problems. And there was definitely some overlap, but there were some other things that our team members, like our coaches, are seeing, and they're the ones working front lines with our clients, that, maybe you and Blake didn't think were as big of a deal, or maybe they just had a different perspective. And it never felt like you or Blake specifically, being the founders, are like, nope, that's not the thing. This is where we're headed, and this is how we're going to get to it. So I love that. It was very collaborative. Everybody is free to speak how they want. And I think that's, at least from my experience, it's a rare thing to see.
Yeah, no, I it's funny because, obviously having, sort of our resident guru, PI, Kobe, connoisseur, Brian Alexander in the room, I remember before we really even kicked it off, like, I went up to Brian because I had never had a partner. So I was a little hesitant. I was just like, well, how is this going to work? But I knew enough to know that I needed someone that could fill some holes that I just couldn't fill long term. Like, definitely, like, there's certain things I can do. There's certain things that I cannot do for long, right? Like, I can do them, but I can't do it for 5 years. I can't do them for years. Right. And I remember, and you'll see the dynamics play out when we meet. It's just how we're wired. And when Brian breaks down those PI indexes, give us our Kobe results, he always sort of brings it in and says, well, that's just how that's just how that high D, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know all that stuff. He's always bringing it back. And then you sort of realize, yeah, like, this is just how it this is how it's going to be. You're going to have to figure out how to work with them as a team, because I believe that the more people that we get to affect, the bigger the team gets. I think it matters that we know how to interact with people, right? Like I can't interact with you the exact same way I interact with Amy or whoever, right? Like you don't interact with people just the same way. I have buddies that I could joke with hard and say the harshest things and they won't care. But I have some buddies, if I say that to them, it's sort of going to mess them up a little bit, right? Correct. Like they may not say it, but like I know, so you definitely have to know who you're with. And that's why for me, getting together like is the game changer, right? Like having the virtual company is cool and all that, but I get excited when we get together, once a quarter.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's important, that we also talk about. Yes, we get together, it's fun, we can have these interactions, but at the end of the day, we're there for a very clear purpose, is to lay out like what are we doing, what's the goal over the next year, and then reverse engineering how that's going to happen. Which I think any good business, they do some form of that. But what was really unique here is like, dude, I don't know if you're this way, but I still have it sitting right here with me. Is like we come away with a very clear. You can't see it if you're just listening, but I'm holding up a sheet of paper that basically designates that we identified this problem. Somebody on the team puts their hand up. In this case, it was me. Puts their hand up. That's my rock. Like that's Brian's language. This is my rock. I own it. And it's a very clear definition of what done looks like. I'm responsible for making sure that it gets done. And there's also an understanding of why does this matter to the company at large? And I think that's super important to have. So everybody on the team walked away with the thing that they're responsible for. So it's not just like frou-frou. It's not, well, we got together, we felt really good and high-fived each other, kumbaya, and then we leave only to address or have the same issues 90 days from now.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe the rocks, the quote unquote rocks are some of the most important things that we do as a team. Because like you said, when you are in charge of the rock, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do everything associated with the rock. Right. But you're in charge of it, right? When you report back, oh, this rock is complete. This rock has moved from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill, and we're not necessarily saying, hey, Josh, you have to carry this rock from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill. We don't care if you put it in a wagon, get a car, drive it up, but we need that rock moved. And I remember early on when it was only Blake and I in these meetings, we would have a few rocks, and I was just like, I remember one time I was like, Brian, I can't, like, I'm not wired to do this. He was like, well, you don't have to do it per se. You have to be in charge of it. You got to make sure it happens. And again, the leadership perspective of it just gives everyone sort of that autonomy, right? Again, we're working with entrepreneurs, right? So this is not a, oh yeah, you just do this, you do this now. And I believe that's one of the things that I wanted coming into this is that, yes, I know we're working with type A hard-driven entrepreneurs. So we want to give them some autonomy and some real work that they have to do that they're in charge of. Because if not, you know how we are, we'll get bored. We'll get bored and we'll be like, well, what am I doing? Yes, I'm doing the thing, but like, what else am I in charge of? So for me, I love the rocks just because it keeps us focused and it gives us sort of that creative freedom to help get the team to that next step.
Yeah, man, exactly. And so, that was kind of the stuff for LASSO team. But then, we had the Pinnacle meetup, which you were talking about, is for our gym owners that are doing 30K a month and above. And again, this is something that, we launched earlier this year. And you and Blake, but you in particular, you were both of you guys were very clear that this was about being a gym owner and growing your gym business, period. Now, to be clear, that doesn't mean that there's not room for the other masterminds and groups and focuses that are out there. But the market, that we wanted to serve was still gym owners and continuing to grow their gym. Does that mean to double, triple, quadruple their revenue? Does that mean they want to go to multi-locations? it could be anything under that umbrella, but the umbrella is the same of this. We are focused on improving your gym business. That's it.
Yeah. So when we sort of were talking about this, we created it. I was just like, there's like you said, there's other mastermind and groups out there for gym owners that they have their, I like to say, sort of their specialty, right? Our guy Jeff Smith over at Tactical Empire, they have their thing and they crush it.
Yep.
And then there's other groups out there that have their thing and they crush it. But for us, we were like, man, we just want to really stay gym specific, right? For those guys and girls that want to, like you said, go from 30K, because that's the bare minimum, to 100K, to 150K per month in revenue. I want to go to multi-locations or, whatever it is. We just decided to stay in that lane. And it's been great, right? Like, it's getting great because we get to be super focused, because there are some people like me. I didn't want to have multi-locations per se, but I wanted my gym to go from 30K to 80K though, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I just saw a lot of stuff out there. I could get it to 30K, but then when I get in rooms, we're talking about stuff that's not necessarily going to push me to 80K. So that's why we're so clear. And that's why we have sort of that fence out front of, hey, you have to be doing 30K. You got to prove that you can grow a gym first. And then we're going to interview you. We're going to talk like, what are your goals? And if you came to us saying, I want to do ABC, some stuff that's outside of the gym, well, that's okay. Hey, go over and talk to my guy over here in this area. But if you're saying, oh, I want to go from 30K, I'm trying to get this thing to 100K, now you're in the right spot, because that's all that we're really focused on. Because again, the people, the processes, and of course the profit, like my boy Marcus Lemonis says, I mean, those are the three things that you have to be tuned in to get your gym to, 100K, multi-locations. And I believe, again, I know there's a lot of people, there's guys that were multi-locations. I know Blake had multi-locations. You have to have a lot of stuff dialed in, because you can do one very well, very, very well, and then do two. And then now both of them sort of go to crap just because you're distracted and there's other things going on. So yes, with the Pinnacle, we're looking for gym owners that want to be gym owners and just want to grow their gym portfolio, whatever that looks like, whether it's just simply more revenue or multi-locations or whatever. So yeah, the Pinnacle group has been very, very exciting, because the conversations we have with high-level gym owners, people doing in that group, people doing 30 to 100K, 110K, is, again, there's nothing wrong with these conversations. We all have to have these sort of beginner conversations. Oh, what about when Coach Amy sleeps in? Yep. We have to have those conversations, but those aren't conversations that we're having in Pinnacle.
Yeah, I mean, that's when people have asked me about it, and I could speak about it in theory because I hadn't yet experienced it. But now, after being in Tampa and being with these other owners and facilitating these conversations, and it's not just like during the actual thing. It's at lunch, it's at dinner, it's in the hallway, it's all the different times that when real problems kind of get solved and hashed out. But those are the conversations that are not being had, is the stuff that you need to have solved that before you get to that level. So that, I remember walking into a conversation between two owners that were there, and they were figuring out like, hey, this is kind of the next goal that I have to get here. Here's what I'm thinking, the model that needs to be put into place that we're thinking about introducing. And they sat right there and pulled up the computer and, just a simple Google sheet and kind of mapped out like, okay, what does cost to deliver look like? What does profitability look like? What does your ad spend look like? Like all these different variables. That's very tactical, stuff that they can take, send off to their team and get put into practice right away. It wasn't three of my coaches wanted to take vacation at the same time, and now I'm stuck being the guy, picking up all the pieces. Again, that's a conversation you needed to already have and problem solve so that you can now solve these much, much bigger ones.
Yeah, no, for sure. I believe that one of the cool things about it is that we're not necessarily trying to grow Pinnacle Group to 100 gym owners, right? Like that's not necessarily our thing. I know most people are like, well, why would you grow that? Well, LASSO is the main thing. This is just sort of an area over here. That's why I know some people listening to this, they're going to be like, I'm doing 30K. I've never even heard about this, because we're not really pushing it like that. But something cool that we are going to do for our Pinnacle in, what is that, June?
Yeah, that's our next Pinnacle meetup.
That's when we're going to be, the people that are in Pinnacle, they're going to identify one person that they think would be an amazing fit. I mean, amazing fit. They would like to hang out with them. They would vibe well with the group, and they're going to get an invite to Pinnacle, because again, it is very difficult to sort of process when we just talk about it. But when you get there and feel it and do the thing, everyone, I mean, there hasn't been anyone that's just not absolutely blown away by the info and the practical steps that they get, and then everyone's moving their gym forward. I mean, that's something we need to do. Honestly, we need to look at from when they started Pinnacle, what does that revenue look like? Also, what does the structure of the business look like? Because that's a big piece. The people, having them in the right places, in the right seats, and all of that. Because again, I was talking to my buddy. He's an oral surgeon by day. Well, he's an oral surgeon by day and night. But he was talking about something. Oh, he went to some conference in California because blah, blah, blah. And he was saying that the problems that they would sit at round tables with these other high achievers. And he was saying that the problems they were having, exactly the stuff that him and I talk about, is the people. The people kept coming up, right? The people kept coming up. So, the people. And he was like, it was so funny. One guy was like, I just fired him and get rid of him. And then he asked him, well, how's that working out for you? He was like, well, it's not working out great, but, and I believe that that's one of the sort of areas that most entrepreneurs can see vast improvements, but they don't, because that's the hard stuff, right? There's the hard, dealing with the people is the hard part. Sort of building the widget, like we know that doing the thing, like, okay, like that's fine. But being an amazing leader, that's the hard part right there. And that's the stuff that me personally, I want to be just an amazing leader. And that's definitely the very difficult part, the stuff that stresses you out. You want to make sure you're taking care of people. You want to make sure people are loving being on the team. So, yeah. Josh, anything to close us out that you want to add to that? Because I think we've been on for a few. We don't want to keep them on.
Yeah. So one of my quotes, a quote that I heard, I wish I could attribute it to whoever said it, but was both your greatest joys and disappointments in life will come from people. So you have a choice,
That's true. That's true. So, guys, we just want to jump on here and talk about a little bit, because we want you guys to know at LASSO, we're always pushing forward from like behind the scenes, right? A lot of people just, see us as an ad agency, but again, we're so much more than that, right? The mentoring piece that we do, the mastermind piece that we do, we want to help gym owners get to the next level, whatever that next level looks like. But we have rolled out something that we haven't made super public yet, but we're going to start working with gyms that are doing 15K and above, right? No gyms under 15K. If you're under 15K, yes, we could help you, but there are some things that you can get in place without paid marketing. And we don't want to pour gas on a fire that's going to burn down the entire city, right?
Yeah.
Right? We want to make sure that when we pour this gas on, it's a controlled fire. Everyone knows what's going on. It's going to do exactly what it's supposed to do. So if you're doing less than 15K, continue to tune in, continue to consume the info, continue to take action. We're just not going to be able to help you until you get to 15K, and then we'll go from there. So guys, as always, tell a friend to tune in, and we will chat with you guys next week. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Gym Marketing Made Simple podcast with Blake Ruff and Sherman Merricks. We hope you enjoyed. We believe marketing should increase revenue and not waste money. So book your free call today. Head on over to LASSOframework.com. That's LASSOFRAMEWORK.com and find the right words, get more customers, and increase your revenue. We'll see you here next time.